So, Ryan, there is the possibility that he could be back in a Nuggets uniform. Lay out for us what are the options that could look like?
Yeah, so there's three different ways that they could do it. And I would say best to worst in terms of how helpful it is to the Nuggets to have him back. The first is he just signs another minimum contract, which there's this thing called cap holds in the NBA on the salary cap side of things, that it's better to have a lower cap hold, and a minimum contract would be $2.3 million. The second option is to just give him a 20% raise off of what he had previously, which would pay him slightly more money, but it would almost double that cap hold for $4.4 million. And that to me is like, that's a not great option, but probably the option that you're going to go to because it pays Russ more money out of pocket for Denver. But it's $4.4 million against the cap for Denver, which is not necessarily a good thing because of how cap strapped they are, because of how much money they've committed to their starting lineup. The last option, taxpayer mid-level exception, which is $5.7 million. That pays Russ the most amount of money. And it's something that the Nuggets did when they had Reggie Jackson. It didn't work out. And the reason why that doesn't usually work out is if you bring back one of your own guys on the taxpayer mid-level exception, that's the only bargaining chip that you have with any of these free agents at all. So if you're Denver, you want to save that for somebody like a Bruce Brown, like some other free agent that is on the market, to give them a little incentive to come to Denver, because clearly Denver has needed that over the years.
All right, Ryan, how bad do you think they want him back, and how thick would the competition be? Because it didn't feel like there was a lot of competition a year ago.
Yeah, last year, his value was clearly depressed. Things did not work out by the end of that Clippers stint. And the Nuggets were one of the only teams that really expressed an interest. And fortunately, it was mutual. Russ was very interested in coming to Denver to play with Jokic, and Jokic was very interested in playing with a guy like Russell Westbrook. And things obviously worked out. I think the way that he averaged 13 points, about 6 assists, 5 rebounds, I think a lot of teams saw that, realized, okay, maybe the situation wasn't great with the Clippers, especially when you added James Harden, you have Kawhi Leonard, you had Paul George. There's a lot of ball handling over there. When you have them in Denver, they didn't have a lot of ball handling, and shockingly, the point guard looks good with the ball in his hands. So I think that a lot of teams are effectively going to say, yeah, you know what, we could give him a shot to be our kind of stopgap starting point guard. I look at teams like Dallas and Milwaukee, who just saw major injuries to their starting point guards, and they're up a creek. They have no idea what to do at this point. So Russell Westbrook's probably a name that they are going to circle and try to figure out, all right, let's see what he could do. Could he be a good option for us? And I think they look at what happened in Denver this last year and think, yeah, maybe it wasn't good before, but now we see what it looks like when he's in a better situation.
That's Ryan Blackburn of Mile High Sports filling us in on the Nuggets options for Russell Westbrook, Westbrook's options on the open market. Ryan, I'm going to ask you to engage in a dangerous endeavor here for a moment. Put yourself in the brain of Nikola Jokic, okay? Ooh. Nikola Jokic, who wanted Russell Westbrook a season ago. Do you think Nikola Jokic wants Russell Westbrook back?
It's a great question. I would say more likely than not, yes. I think that more likely than not, things did work out. Yes, it wasn't perfect. Yes, things didn't always go well. There were various moments in Russell Westbrook's tenure where he made a crucial mistake. Things obviously spiraled at various points. I think about the Timberwolves game where he botches the layup and then screws up the contest and accidentally fouls a jump shooter.
I feel like I remember that game a little bit.
Yeah, Nikola did a few things in that game. We all remember.
I feel like I have a memory of that game, yes.
There's a 60-10 and 10 game in there somewhere. So it's one of those things that the players behind the scenes, there were some mischaracterizations, I think, of the kind of locker room presence that he was. He was very positive for Denver overall. He got them motivated. He got them moving in the right direction. And it wouldn't surprise me if they decide, you know what, we like that. We think that that's important. We want to have that kind of personality back. There's a lot of players in that locker room that respect Russell Westbrook, but I think it's going to be kind of a give and take, that he can't go free reign all the time. Like, there's going to have to be a little bit more accountability this particular season if he does come back. And maybe he doesn't want that. There's a very strong possibility that he liked kind of freewheeling. He liked doing a variety of different things and having the ball in his hands, being allowed to make mistakes in order to be the kind of impact player that he could be. So for Jokic, I wouldn't be surprised either way, honestly. I think he likes the fire, he likes the intensity, he likes the impact and the playmaking, but there were some mistakes that were very loud, and that's the other side of the coin with Russell Westbrook.
I'm also going to ask you, I hate to put you on the spot, but you are better at this than certainly I, and this is what Nate and I like to get to, because it's easy to throw out things like the nearly $6 million mid-level exception, and by the way, I'm with you. I would not give Russ that. You need that for somebody else. But what other names are out there? Just for fun, what names could we attach to, say, a $6 million player? Are they able to add money they have now to up that? Can they put the $3 million with the mid-level to get one player at $9 million, or is that just not something that can happen?
No, that's unfortunately not something that they can do. The CBA has effectively restricted so many things that Denver could do. The taxpayer mid-level exception was a larger number before this second apron rules kind of went into effect. It was supposed to be as penalizing as possible to go into these aprons. And so you have to you're only going to get 5.7 million. That's it. You can't add up more. You can't go multiple minimum contracts and then the taxpayer mid-level to get up to 9 or 11 or anything like that. You have to stay at 5.7. So just looking at it now, a couple names that I'd throw out there. Malcolm Brogdon, if you're looking for a replacement backup point guard, not sure if you would consider Denver, but any backup point guard, I think, can look at what happens in the Nuggets situation, whether the opportunities to Bones Highland or Russell Westbrook or Reggie Jackson. Those guys got a lot of opportunities, got a lot of shots. So if you're a player that's looking for playing time and versatility, you get to play with Nikola Jokic. He'll finish off some of those assists that you're trying to dish to him. So a lot of these guys could consider that. I would also throw out Gary Trent Jr. if you're looking for more of a 3-and-D shooter, somebody that has experience playing next to a player like Giannis Antetokounmpo. He could play next to Nikola Jokic and thrive, I think. So a couple names in the backcourt, maybe even a Tyus Jones if you want to go more kind of the playmaking, not making mistakes route.
We're a little tight on time, but I want to ask you anyway, since you know the cap stuff. Let's say that Saric does, I think we all think he's going to opt in, but let's say he does the Westbrook thing so he can actually go play. Does that then leave them with like $7 million for someone else? Like, does that go back into a pool, or are these things all slotted? Because what was he, $5 million? Wasn't Saric
he was
$5
an
million?
guy, yeah.
It was about 5.4, 5.5, I think. And the short answer is no. Denver's up against the second apron right now. So I think that they would have to make additional moves in order to clear more space. Easiest way to do that is to try to trade Michael Porter Jr., but good luck trying to figure out how to break up that contract and for a team that wants to take on that much money. Zeke Naji, another situation where I don't think a lot of opposing teams are thrilled about the idea of taking on that kind of contract. So Denver could clear some space. So it really is going to be that taxpayer mid-level. And so if you're Denver, I don't think you're that upset about Dario opting in, because he's actually a trade chip for a 5.4, 5.5 million expiring that you could use to match some salary going out.
Okay, so that's good to know. By the way, Sham's saying Minnesota emerging as a potential destination for Kevin Durant. What would that deal look like, and is there any world in which that trade, believe it or not, maybe weakens Minnesota simply in terms of a matchup with the Nuggets?
Yeah, I think I said this during the middle of the season last year when they were rumored. I thought that if Kevin Durant went to the Wolves, that would benefit Denver, because you're taking away multiple of those just absolutely aggressive, physical, athletic, defensive-minded players. Julius Randle had a great year for them overall, especially kind of later in the season and then into the playoffs. Jaden McDaniels is somebody that Denver has struggled with consistently. Those are the kinds of players that I think you would probably throw into that deal. Dante DiVincenzo being another one. Or they go with the big route and try to trade Rudy Gobert for Kevin Durant and try to flip-flop those kinds of players and go with a more wing-focused system where they bring back Naz Reid. They're playing more offensive-minded basketball. Either way, it gets very complicated very quickly. But if you're Minnesota, you have an opportunity to pair Anthony Edwards and Kevin Durant. That's not anything to sneeze at. That's something that I think they should consider. And if they could try to work out the right deal, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like that Gobert idea without a doubt, at least for the Nuggets. By the way, Ryan Blackburn, Mile High Sports